Well, guys, I am now back for my Week 9 picks of the 2021 NFL seasons. We're nearing the halfway point of the year. Last week, I went 10-5, so not bad, not really great either, so hoping to do much better this time around. And, of course, here is the regular season stands and the playoff stands at the season end of the day. In the AFC, it's the Titans with the bye, with Steelers at Raiders, Bengals at Ravens, and Chargers at Bills. And in the NFC, it's the Packers with the bye, with Panthers at Cardinals, Saints at Cowboys, and Rams at Buccaneers. And my Super Bowl pick right now is the Bills beating the Packers. Alright, so now let's get to... of course, thank you for dying on me there, computer. But anyways, let's get to my Week 9 picks. Start off with Thursday night tonight, as it's a game that I still don't know why they picked it for Thursday night. As the Jets are at the Colts for the second year in a row. Colts won the last one. The Jets haven't beaten them since 2018. They haven't won in Indianapolis since that 2015 Monday night game, remember? So the Jets got the needed victory against the Bengals. Very impressive, too, when they made that comeback, as they now match their win total from last year. Although, as you see, their offense is still like one of the worst in the league. Look at them! They're the worst in two categories and third worst in two others. That's just so funny, as they need that victory, especially with Zach Wilson out. And the Colts, they had it with the Titans, but unfortunately for them, they couldn't hold it in the end, as they lost in overtime, and now they have a 3-game deficit on the Titans too. But this is a big get right game against the Jets. I mean, you destroyed them, remember, last year. Surely you could destroy them again. So I'm picking the Colts for this, but hey, I guess... watch out for the Jets. I mean, you just saw them make a big comeback against the Bengals last week, so don't underestimate them, I guess. Then we get to the Sunday games, as we start off with the Falcons at the Saints. As the Saints won the last 3, the Falcons haven't beaten them since that upset victory in 2019. So the Falcons, after winning 2 in a row and like, hey, maybe they're getting everything right again, they then embarrassingly lost to the Panthers as Matt Ryan went back to his former early year start. The Falcons just played bad in that game to let the Panthers get back to 500. Meanwhile, the Saints, a very Pyrrhic victory against the Buccaneers. Very impressive. Also very impressive is that they won it with Jameis Winston not really playing for most of the game, and make matters worse, he is out for the season. Ouch. So, Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian all the way. Now, of course, I would say that's probably doom and gloom for the Saints, but remember, Drew Brees, the last 2 seasons, missed several games as a starter over the last few years. But you know what? The Saints always kept winning still. Like, remember when 2019 when Teddy Bridgewater take over? He was undefeated as a starter. And then last year when he went down and Taysom Hill had to start. He started 3 games, he was 3-1. So, and the Saints are now 5-2 without him. So they're still winning games despite all these quarterback issues, showing how well-balanced team they are in that regard. So you know what? I'm actually going to pick the Saints to get this, but watching my luck, they're probably going to shit the bed like they did against the Falcons 2 years ago. Alright, so then it's a somewhat big matchup, although not really based upon the record, as the Broncos are at the Cowboys for the first time since 2013. The Broncos won the last 6. The Cowboys haven't beaten them since 1995. So the Broncos need that victory against the football team as they're now back at 500. Within a game of tying the record from last year, as the Cowboys got the needed victory against the Vikings despite not having Dak, just like I predicted last year, although I did thought Dak was going to play in that game, as their offense is one of the best in the league. Their defense is still spotty at best. But hey, they've already matched their win total from last year, trying to beat it this game, and of course, I'm going to pick the Cowboys again, even if Dak doesn't play. Then a big outer conference matchup in the AFC, outer conference matchup, as the Patriots are at the Panthers for the first time since 2013. As the Panthers won the last 2, the Patriots haven't beaten them since 2009, and they haven't won in Charlotte since 2001, the final game for them that year. So the Patriots got the needed victory over the Chargers. Now they're at 500 again, trying to get over the 500 mark for the first time since week 3 of 2020. It's hard to believe it's been over a year since the Patriots last had a game over 500. It feels so weird because that's always, like, almost always the case historically. So, meanwhile, the Panthers got the needed victory over the Falcons. Now they've ended their 4-game losing streak to get back to 500 as well, as they need a win to match their win total from last year. This is pretty important for both of them. Technically the Panthers are in the playoffs right now at the season end of the day, and the Patriots are like outside looking in. So both teams need this win. But of course, I'm picking the Patriots for this one. But hey, don't ever underestimate the Panthers. And also remember, the Patriots have lost a lot of games this year by close margins. That maybe the Panthers could pull off the upset. Then it's the Vikings at the Ravens for the first time since 2013. As the Vikings won the last one, the Ravens haven't beaten them since 2013. And the Vikings haven't won in Baltimore since 1998. Their only win in Baltimore against the Ravens. So the Vikings, another close nail biter. And pretty bad too. They didn't have Dak for the second year in a row, and they still couldn't beat the Cowboys. Now they lost that one. All 4 of their losses too were close losses that were within a score. So they could be 7-0 technically if everything went their way. Meanwhile, the Ravens were off their bye after they got crushed by the Bengals last week. It was a terrible game. Like I said, the Ravens are not a good team, honestly. Their record should honestly be flipped. They should have lost to the Colts, the Lions, the Chiefs. They should be 2-5, not 5-2. Now, I would almost want to say I would pick the Vikings again because, honestly, I don't think the Ravens are that much better. Like, they really are a bad team, but, of course, the Vikings keep blowing games that they shouldn't be, and the Ravens keep winning games that they're not supposed to, so I guess I'm going to be picking the Ravens for this one. Then a big outer conference, AFC divisional matchup, as the Browns are at the Bengals. As the Browns won the last 2, the Bengals haven't beaten them since 2019. This is big because whoever loses this possibly could fall all the way down to the last place in the division right now, believe it or not, even though the Browns are already there. So the Browns, in a defensive struggle, lost to the Steelers as they're on the verge of matching their loss total from last year. And the Bengals, what a blown opportunity against the Jets. I had that feeling they were going to do it, although I still picked them to win it. I wish I did pick the Jets because they did what I thought they were going to do, made the comeback and got the win. I mean, that's what you expect from a Bengals team. They're just still not quite there yet. They're playing very good, but they're not quite ready. They always have those moments where they shit the bed when they shouldn't be. But you know what? I'm actually going to pick the Bengals to get this one. Because remember, both their games last year when the Browns won, both went right down to the wire. And the Browns are struggling right now. The Bengals are playing much better, so I'm picking the Bengals to get this one. Then it's the Bills at the Jaguars for the first time since 2015. Technically 2009 since their last visit in Jacksonville in London, remember. As the Bills won the last 2, the Jaguars haven't beaten them since that London game in 2015. So the Bills got, honestly, a kind of ugly game against the Dolphins. Only 26-11. That was not really an impressive performance against one of the worst teams in the league. That's kind of a little concerning for the Bills. Meanwhile, the Jaguars got crushed by the Seahawks. I mean, what else is new? What do you expect? There's nothing else really to say. Bills, easily. Then we get to the tank game, like probably the worst game so far this year, as the Texans are at the Dolphins for the first time since 2015, as the Texans won the last one. The Dolphins haven't beaten them since 2015, and the Texans haven't won in Miami since 2011. So, of course, the Texans got crushed by the Rams, even though score doesn't indicate that. As you see, statistically, they honestly might be like one of the worst teams in the league because they're like really bad and everything. But there's one thing that's keeping me from also saying it too, and that's the Dolphins, who also are really bad. Look at their stats, garbage. As the Dolphins lost to the Bills, although I have to give them credit, they only lost by like 16. It was a competitive game for most of it, so that game was a lot closer than it should have been. But the Dolphins held on. And of course, remember this was supposed to be the game where Deshaun Watson made his debut against his former team, but sadly that never happened. So, I would, like I said throughout the year, if Deshaun Watson was playing, I would probably pick the Texans a lot more, but without him, I gotta pick the Dolphins because they at least have some quarterback in Tua. Much better than David Mills and whoever else they have. Alright, as then we get to the Raiders at the Giants for the first time since 2013. The Raiders won the last one. The Giants haven't beaten them since 2013, and the Raiders haven't won in East Rutherford since 2001. So the Raiders were off their bye when they beat the Eagles pretty convincingly last week. Well, so far, with Gruden being gone, they're still kicking. I would have been surprised if they lost the next 2 in a row, but nope. They're still leading the division. they're still hanging in there and they're playing good. So, obviously, the Gruden firing is not affecting them too much right now, as they need to get this victory over the Giants. The Giants almost beat the Chiefs, and that's actually a bad sign for the Chiefs, which we'll get to later on. But they held on. They honestly, I think, they actually outplayed the Chiefs. They just couldn't get the victory in the end. They led them at 1.2. So, unfortunately for the Raiders, this could indeed be a trap game for the Giants. I would not be surprised if the Giants win, so watch out. But I'm going to pick the Raiders for this one. Watch me, I'm going to be like last week when I picked the Bengals over the Jets and regret it in the end. Then we get to the 4 p.m. games. Starting off with the Chargers at the Eagles for the first time since 2013. As the Eagles won the last one, the Chargers haven't beaten them since 2013. And the Eagles haven't won at home since 2005 against them. So, of course, the Chargers now have lost 2 in a row after getting crushed by the Ravens and then disappointingly lost against the Patriots, as Herbert and that offense has been looking terrible the last few weeks. After that strong start to the year, they really need to get that shit fixed badly. Meanwhile, the Eagles, a crushing, just straight up crushing victory against the Lions, 44-6. Dominant performance against a team that I thought they were going to lose to. As the Chargers are in a bad spot. This is setting up good for the Eagles. Like, I still get that 2013 vibe for the Eagles like I've had all year, as they're trying to match their win total from last year. But I'm still going to pick the Chargers for this, but I won't be surprised either if the Eagles get it. Alright, then we get to a big outer conference matchup, as the Packers are at the Chiefs for the first time since 2019, as it's that 17th game. The Packers won the last 2, and the Chiefs haven't beaten them since they gave the Packers their only loss of the regular season in 2011. So, of course, the Packers got that pretty impressive victory against the Cardinals like I predicted they would. I didn't think the Cardinals were going to hold on for much longer. A very impressive performance by the Packers, even though their stats are going to don't look that good. But unfortunately for the Packers is that Aaron Rodgers got COVID, so he's not playing this week. You know, Rodgers, this probably wouldn't have happened if just got the vaccine. Just saying. Same goes for you, Wentz, Cousins, especially you, Lamar, since you got it twice. So maybe just get the vaccine and you wouldn't have to worry about this. But now, of course, we get to finally see Jordan Love make his first start. So now we can maybe see the future, what maybe could happen next year, possibly, at the earliest. So that'll be interesting to see. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, oh my God. Even though they beat the Giants, honestly, I think they just straight up lost. I think the Giants actually played better than the Chiefs on Monday night. They really played like shit. Mahomes, I think, has thrown as many interceptions this season as he's done in his career for a season, which was 2018. He is just playing bad compared to his normal stats. Like, there's something fundamentally wrong with him and the entire team right now. The fact that they're 4-4, honestly, might even be just lucky. Now, of course, if Rodgers was playing, I would have given this to the Packers, but you know what? In an upset, since I don't know about Jordan Love, I'm actually going to pick the Chiefs for this. And the funny thing is, Bet Insights actually had the Chiefs favored by 1. That was when Aaron Rodgers was going to play. So I find it really weird that people would figure they were going to win even with Rodgers playing. That's really weird. And of course, I find funny that the NFL still can't get their Rodgers-Mahomes matchup. We're going to get it in 2019. Oh, Mahomes got injured. Oh, we're going to get it in 2021. Oh, Aaron Rodgers got COVID, so he can't play. Oh, we still have the Super Bowl at least. So, picking the Chiefs over the Packers. Then another big one, the NFC West, as the Cardinals are at the 49ers, as the Cardinals won the last one. 49ers haven't beaten them since 2020, and they haven't won at home since 2019. So, the Cardinals finally got their first loss of the year, although they actually almost made the comeback. But, of course, Kyler Murray played like garbage with those 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. But hey, it was still a good loss at least. It wasn't like a blowout, and they almost made the comeback, so it wasn't like too bad. So no 17-0 this year, but the team is still pretty explosive looking like right now, trying to get their first back-to-back non-losing season since 13 and 14. Meanwhile, the 49ers finally ended their 4-game losing streak as they beat the Bears, as they needed that victory, and another convincing victory, too. Their first actual convincing victory in terms of points, too, as well. As they need that. This is going to be a tough one for both of them. Both games, if I remember correctly, last year went right down to the wire. And remember, the 49ers did beat the Cardinals last year when they were struggling right after Christmas. So, Cardinals. Oh, that's right, too. You almost lost to them earlier in the year, too. So, Cardinals, this is setting up like a trap game for them, too. This could easily be a loss for the Cardinals and maybe like starting to deflate from that 7-0 start. And you know what? Maybe an upset. I'm going to pick the 49ers to get it. How about that? I got to take some chances once in a while. And I think it's setting up to be a trap game for them. And then we get to Sunday night, which on paper looks like a good matchup, but unfortunately due to an injury, it's not. As the Titans are at the Rams for the first time since 2013. The Rams won the last one. The Titans haven't beaten them since 2013. And the Rams haven't beaten them at home since 2005. So the Titans have now won 4 in a row, and they got a very crucial victory over the Colts. So now they have the free game lead and the ultimate tiebreaker against the only team that can maybe challenge them. But it came with a cost, as Derrick Henry is now out for the season. And as we know, that offense completely resolves around him. And without him, oh God, it will be like a quarterback going down. I think that Titans team is going to really struggle down the stretch. So they better be thanking their lucky star they have this massive lead and tiebreaker over the Colts, because that honestly might be the deciding factor if they win the division. Like, I think they could maybe tumble that much and the Colts could make that big of a comeback. Meanwhile, the Rams needed that loss against the Cardinals, which helped them, but they still are down by the tiebreaker because they lost to them earlier. This would be a good opportunity for them to get this win right here and get another straight winning, non-losing season. Big opportunity for them, especially with Derrick Henry gone. So I'm going to pick the Rams to get this one. And we'll see how the Titans do without Derrick Henry, because that was a big blow to them. And then we get to the Monday night game that should never have been picked, as the Bears are at the Steelers for the first time since 2013. And despite the Bears' struggles over the Steelers in terms of performance over the years, they have a free game winning streak on them. The Steelers haven't beaten them since 2005. So, of course, the Bears blew it against the 49ers, as they're now 3-5, and the Steelers now won 3 in a row. A defensive struggle against the Browns, as they're starting to make that comeback, as they're now back in the playoff race too. Even though their stats offensively look like garbage, their defense looks really elite, as the Bears have a terrible offense, and their defense is getting trounced. So, even though the history says otherwise, I'm still going to pick the Steelers for this one. Alright, so those are my picks for Week 9. I cannot wait for Jets at Colts tonight. So my picks are Colts over the Jets, Saints over Falcons, Cowboys over Broncos, Patriots over Panthers, Ravens over Vikings, Bengals over Browns, Bills over Jaguars, Dolphins over Texans, Raiders over Giants, Chargers over the Eagles, Chiefs over Packers, 49ers over Cardinals, Rams over Titans, and Steelers over Bears. So see you guys next time for Week 10.